Hey there, Cindy Jacek here. Welcome to the channel. I had in the summer managed to get 3 of these little shelf sitter pigs from the dump. Kind of cool. They were just, I mean, how adorable is this outline? A nice thick cut. So what I'm looking at doing is zhuzhing them up. So what I kind of want to do is paint just the fronts of them, not the edges. I want to leave the edges that wood look, but I am going to paint them front and back because I'm going to do 2 different treatments so that they are reversible. But we're going to start by painting just the fronts and backs in a light pink. Now, I get that I am a paint store and that I have tons of paint on the shelves. And I have beautiful light pinks on the shelf. But I don't want to open a whole jar of light pink to just paint a couple of pigs. So we're going to make one. Just because I have lots of red open and it's going to sit likely until next Christmas, and I have a big honking jar of white open, and we know white and red make pink. So as long as this, that's why I can't wear nice things. Just open it and I got paint specks all over me. But we'll see. Well, I better make enough. Just don't want to get halfway done and not have enough. So what I've started with, and this is fusion paint. So I've started with casement in here, and I'm just going to start with a tinge of Fort York red. You don't want to go too strong. You want your darkest color to go in there in small little amounts so that you see what it creates. I mean, already I have a pink and I can still see small little streaks of red. And I just want to see, I think that's good enough. I think that that's pink enough. I don't want any more red. So it was, let me just see how much. I would say I've got 1/4 cup of white, and I had just a dip of the spoon into the red. I didn't scoop it. I just did a dip in and not all the way up. And that was enough of the red. So you can see the pigments of these go really far. And if you're looking at creating a pale paint, then you really need to pay attention to the fact that you're going to start with, where's the decent brush? There we go. You're going to start with your lightest color. Add the dark to that. If we started with the dark, I would have ended up with an entire jar of, like, I'd be making gallons of pink. So we want to start with what's going to be the dominant color. Now, as I'm getting this on here, it's probably looking a little bit whiter, but that will change as we get a second coat on. And I have to see whether or not I'm going to get any bleed through from this wood as well. I don't know yet. So I'm just going to get one side painted, then I'm going to get the other side painted, and then I'll come back and start doing the second coats and we'll see what we've got. But just going for a little pink piggy. Once the pink paint, and that's just a nice color pink, is dry, what I did do was I sanded the upper edges where I didn't paint it perfectly. And now I just want to deepen that color a little bit. So I have some coffee, just coffee. I just mixed it up, some hot water and coffee granules, just, you know, dollar store coffee, instant coffee. And I made it fairly strong, and I'm just going to kind of restain this wood a little bit. See if I can even out the tones a little bit, get a little bit darker. And so I'm just going to put this on it. Now the nice thing about this is when I get the coffee over the edges, because this is fusion paint and it has a built-in sealer, I just take a little wet cloth and I can wipe that away. Once our decoupaged paper is dry, we can remove the excess. Now, I'm using a little piece of 220 grit sandpaper, just going around the edges, which in essence then cuts the paper away. You could flip it over, you could use an X-Acto knife, whatever method you want. Now, I'm not going to seal this quite yet because I have some things I want to do to the other side, and then I need to be sealing both sides. So I might as well do that all at once, right? So I'm going to get all my paper removed, and then we will take a look at what we're going to do on the other sides. We have two different designs and two different looks. Next up in our little pig makeover is on the plain side, because we have the decoupage side and the plain side. On the plain side, I want to add some gold dots. So I have this mirror finish gold paint marker. I just got off of Amazon, so I can drop the link. And I am just going to add random dots. Now you could do just some big dots, you could do all tiny dots, you could do whatever you want. You could draw lines and do plaid. It's your pig. Or whatever shape you're using. So I'm just going to cover this all and put it off to the side to dry. Now I have a 2-part epoxy mixed up. I got this from Amazon. I will drop the link to the name into the description. But what we're going to be doing is I want to epoxy both sides. So whether I'm doing the decoupage side or the dotted side. And to do that, I'm going to have to be careful because I don't want it flowing over the sides. So I have a little rubber spatula, which is great because then any of the plastic peels off it. And I'm going to slowly move this out to the edges. Now, even once you've moved it, where you put it to dry matters. If it's not level, this will continue to flow. So let's say this is the low spot. Oh, this will flow toward the bottom. So I do like to check it periodically because I don't have a level here. So making sure that I'm not going to end up with an overflow or a really big hump in a section. I don't want this to flow over the side. I don't want it to go down the wood. So you just work carefully, moving it out to the edges. And then I will look sideways at it to see if there's any sections that I might have missed. Because in relief, you can see if there's some dimples or some missing spots. And once I've done part of it, if I need to add more to the other sections, then I add a little bit more. But I just use it from the spoon, just a little bit at a time, so that I don't end up with more than the surface can hold. Now this is what our finished pigs end up looking like. We have that big reflective look. It adds depth to it. It adds a lot more richness to it than if I had just simply covered it in a decoupage medium. So if you're looking to sell something like this, doing the little slow pour and the movement of that resin out really makes a difference in that final surface of it. Gives it a lot nicer finish in a lot of respects for a project like this where they're going to be freestanding. Gives it a little bit more of that enamel look. Let me know what you think of these ones, guys. These pigs were a super cute find. I'm going to trace them out on a piece of paper and just kind of keep the pattern. I'm not convinced that I can necessarily hand saw these, especially the little legs and the tail and ears, with any accuracy, but just in case. I like the look of these in relief. Not all pigs look as good as these ones or as easily identifiable as pigs maybe. So I'll at least keep the pattern of them. But if you haven't tried that little trick with resin, as opposed to just pouring resin into a container with sides to contain it, give it a go, because you really get a very lovely, very cool finish. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one, as always. And until then, take care.